Goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. That sentence is the definition of the perfect client. If education sales has you second guessing yourself, take a breath. This is a trust first, relationship driven market, and the old tactics, they don't translate. This show replaces guesswork with clarity and a customer acquisition system that builds a pipeline you can trust. I'm Josh Chernikoff, two-time education founder with 2 exits and a lead gen coach for companies in education. Through my EdSales elevation experience over the last 2 years, I've coached 210 companies to leads on repeat. In 2025 alone, I delivered over 2,600 hours of coaching to education companies. My co-host is John Gamba. He also has a successful exit, and now he's the Director of Innovative Programs and the Entrepreneur in Residence at Penn's Graduate School of Education. This is the only show dedicated to customer acquisition for education companies, so consistent listeners go from stalled deals to clarity, credibility, and a pipeline they can rely on. This is EdSales Edge, where education company founders earn their edge. Why is Apple more innovative than everyone else? That's the question Simon Sinek opens with in his very famous TED Talk, 21 million views. Not why is Apple bigger, not why Apple has better technology, but why people believe in Apple. And the answer to that question explains something critical, something very critical about sales. It explains why the perfect client finds you and why the wrong one never will. Welcome back to the EdSales Edge. This show sits at the intersection of education, leadership, and sales in education. And today's episode is grounded entirely in one idea. Simon Sinek's TED Talk, How Great Leaders Inspire Action. Yeah, we're going to dedicate the time today to Simon Sinek's TED Talk. It's a beautiful one. How Great Leaders Inspire Action. In 2009, Simon Sinek took the TED stage. That talk has now been viewed, as I said, 21 million times and counting. I just watched it 2 weeks ago with our daughter and my wife. That doesn't happen because of timing. It doesn't happen because of production. It happens because Simon Sinek put language to something leaders were already experiencing but couldn't quite explain. At the core of that talk is one very simple idea. I want to get a pen for this one. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And then he says something that completely reframes how we think about sales. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. That's a very important thing that we teach in the EdSales Elevation Experience. I'll repeat it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. That sentence is the definition of the perfect client. If something feels fuzzy or momentum has stalled, it happens. I get it. Text me directly, 771-333-4233. I read all of the text messages. Back to the show. The perfect client becomes clear the moment you understand Simon Sinek's golden circle. Why, how, what? Most organizations, they actually communicate from the outside in. Why, how, what? Outside going in. What we do, how we do it, why it works. But inspired leaders communicate from the inside out. Inspired leaders communicate from the inside out. Why, then how, then what? And this matters deeply for the organizations that we work with, especially in education. In the stage that we're on, the education stage in our space, people are buying from people. And this is especially important for companies that are sub, say, $2 million. Because at that point, the people that you are selling to in the education space, they're still buying from you. They are still buying from the founder. They are buying judgment. They are buying conviction. They are buying belief. They want to know why you started this. They want to know why you stayed in it. Why this problem still matters to you. After all of these years, and for many of us, building our business has not been an overnight success. Your founder story is not marketing fluff. It is your why. It should be made visible, very visible. And if telling that story feels uncomfortable, honestly, that's normal. Out of the 183 companies we've worked with to date in the education space, in the EdSales Elevation Experience, I would say probably 80 to 90% of them are uncomfortable about this. And then they begin to understand why it's so important to make that founder story so visible. Now, most people were never taught how to talk about themselves with clarity and with confidence. That's why we spend so much time inside the EdSales Elevation Experience helping people get comfortable with their own story. Using LinkedIn as a credibility platform, showing up on podcasts, stepping into speaking opportunities. Not to perform, not to posture, but to clarify belief. To clarify belief, because clarity creates confidence. Clarity creates confidence for you, and clarity also creates confidence for your perfect client. Simon Sinek uses Apple because it's unfriggin' deniable. I say that as I'm surrounded by a host of Apple products. Apple doesn't say we make great computers. They say we believe in challenging the status quo. And that belief comes first, before products, before features, before pricing. Because of that belief, people didn't just buy their first product. They followed Apple from computers to music, from music to tablets, from tablets to entire ecosystems. Apple customers didn't buy products. They bought identity. They bought a way of seeing the world. That's the perfect client. I am the perfect client for Apple. They don't just buy your first offer. Your perfect client, they follow what you believe, which is why getting that first offer right matters so much. It's not just a product, it's a statement, it's proof of your why. The Perfect Client Builder is a practical framework that's going to help you get that perfect client right, get your messaging right, and get your confidence way up. All you got to do is text us 771-333-4233 and we'll send it right to you. Now, back to the show. My good friend, my client, Paul King, is going to be amazed that I'm putting him in this story right after Apple. Because he is what the perfect client done right is. Simon Sinek is proud of Paul King. Paul King didn't try to serve everyone. He didn't say, we help schools in New York City. He said, we help schools who are struggling with the Regents exam in New York City. Painfully specific. His headline, I help high school principals in New York City increase their Algebra 1 Regents pass rates with our 20-week tutoring accelerator. That headline does a few things perfectly. It names the buyer, high school principals. It names the geography, New York friggin' City. It names the problem, Algebra 1 Regents pass rates. And it names the outcome. That's perfect client clarity, folks. Paul goes even further. In his headline, he talks about the fact that he has contracted New York City DOE vendor. That's credibility. Then he speaks directly to the lived reality of these principals that he knows he can help. Low pass rates, outcomes below district averages, teams working harder but not seeing results, pressure from above, pressure from data, pressure from parents. And then he offers one clear solution, the Algebra 1 Regents Passport. That's his program he created in the EdSales Elevation Experience. That's his signature solution. Small cohorts, 5 to 10 students, 2 instructors, a 20-week, a full year program. You pick it. It's built on research. He focuses on fluency, on confidence, belief in student potential. And the results? Oh yeah. The results, 70% of students increase by a full performance level. Boom. 10 to 15 point gains on the Regents. Boom. Over 80% attendance. Boom. 95% of students report higher confidence in math. One last boom. Now here's the key. Paul isn't chasing leads anymore, guys. So proud of my guy. We exchange text messages, voice messages constantly. Paul is signing contract after contract in New York City. And it's not without challenges of growing a business, but he has people tracking him down. He is speaking more to principals. They are reaching out to him via LinkedIn. He is sending emails that are getting responses. He is seeing what happens when you focus on the perfect client. So who you sell to is really important, right? Superintendents, principals, university presidents, senior academic leaders, they are not just buying programs. They are buying confidence. They are buying clarity. They are buying partners who understand their constraints. Enter Paul King. When they evaluate you, they are asking, do I trust this person? Do they understand my world? Do they believe what I believe about education? If you led with features, you're just going to blend in. If you lead with your why, if you tell your story on LinkedIn, if you go get opportunities to speak and you're clear, if you're on a podcast and they hear you, you stand out. You stop sounding like another vendor and you start sounding like a partner. That's how you become the perfect client's choice. So, what Apple and my friend Paul King are doing isn't new. Simon Sinek pointed out, Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. People followed his belief. The Wright brothers, they had no money, as Simon Sinek explains. They had no credentials, but they had conviction and a belief that created fellowship and followers. They were the first in flight. So when you get clear on your why, your confidence grows, your messaging sharpens, your LinkedIn content starts doing the work for you. Ask Paul King. Your sales conversations slow down in the best possible way. Because you stop convincing, you start qualifying people. Yes, narrowing your focus does feel risky. I feel that. But traction doesn't start with everyone. It starts just with the believers. Last interruption before we wrap this show. I want to remind you guys the EdSales Elevation Experience is where we help founders develop and design lead generation machines that bring in high quality, high converting leads for their education companies on repeat. Get more details in the show notes. Now, let's bring this show home. Let's go on a slight detour to Negative Town, and we'll talk about the wrong client. Every wrong client teaches you something. And eventually, clarity becomes courage. Saying no is gonna feel scary at first, but it will stop feeling scary if you say no to the wrong client. It actually starts feeling strategic. Let's replace scary with strategic, because belief is what the perfect client responds to. So you need to believe in them as much as they believe in you. Simon Sinek wasn't just talking about leadership when he gave his infamous TED Talk. He was explaining how belief drives decisions. In movements, in organizations, and in our case, in our community, in education sales. When you know your why and you commit to the perfect client, people don't just buy. They actually believe. This is the EdSales Edge. We are grounded in belief. Built for you, the perfect client. And designed for people shaping the future of education. And if this episode felt like it was written for you, that is absolutely no accident. Because you are our perfect client. You are a trusted member of our community. Thank you for joining us on the EdSales Edge. If you get a chance, the Simon Sinek TED Talk is just life-changing. And I am honored to have brought it to you. All right, that's it for this episode of the EdSales Edge. Thanks for joining us. If you sell into education, the goal of this show is very simple: to help you stop guessing what actually moves deals in a system where trust matters. If you want to go deeper, join us inside the Entourage, our private community for education founders and operators selling into schools. You'll see the details in the show notes. If this episode helped you think more clearly, that's great. Subscribe, like it, and share it with another founder in the education space. Until next time, get clear, build trust, set up a system for sales, and keep earning your edge.